Thanks for joining our special live coverage of South Korea's 55th cabinet meeting of this year. In a moment, we will head over to the presidential office, where President Yoon Suk-yeol will preside over today's meeting. He is expected to look back on the year 2023 and lay out policy directions for the new year 2024. President Yoon will also call for prompt execution of the budget for next year, which was passed in a plenary session last Thursday. We are also expecting an order from him on the tearing down of all the possible and existing barriers between ministries that bar collaboration with each other. Instead, tighter and goal-oriented cooperation between ministries is expected to be highlighted. Again, we are waiting for South Korea's 55th cabinet meeting of the year. Now, likely to be included in the meeting is President Yoon Suk-yeol's call for prompt execution of the 2024 budget. After a month of debate, South Korea's national budget for next year was passed last Thursday at around $503 billion. That's $180 million lower than the amount proposed back in August. Reallocation of the budget saw cuts in public administration and local government budgets. Instead, there were increases in the social welfare budget. Again, we are still waiting for South Korea's 55th cabinet meeting of the year. There, President Yoon Suk-yeol is expected to reflect on this year, 2023, and set out new policy goals and policy directions for the new year. We will head over to the presidential office. Looks like the meeting is about to begin. We will come back afterwards.
국무회의를 시작하겠습니다.
Let us begin the cabinet meeting.
우리 정부의
We are holding the last cabinet meeting of the year in Sejong City, the base for realizing the local era, an important national goal of our government. This year, we have overcome an unprecedented global poly crisis, including high interest rates, high inflation, protectionism, and supply chain fragmentation. Many people have worked hard in the public and private sectors and have come together to achieve a breakthrough. A 15-month trade deficit turned into a surplus in June, and a current account surplus of $30 billion is expected this year. The Economist, a world-renowned economic magazine, ranked Korea's economy second among 35 OECD countries based on a comprehensive assessment of prices, employment, growth, and stock prices. While most countries are experiencing stagflation, which is high prices and recessionary economy, we have achieved this, and this is all thanks to the people and businesses who have trusted and worked with the government to restore our broken fiscal and market economy. While there have been calls to increase fiscal spending in response to the economic downturn, we have maintained a sound fiscal stance, keeping prices in check and maintaining national credibility. When the government spends a lot of money, prices tend to rise, and when government issues a lot of government bonds due to fiscal laxity, in a high interest rate situation, the interest rate on government bonds also raises the interest rate on corporate bonds, making it difficult for companies to raise funds and invest. Ultimately, this makes it difficult to create jobs. Unlike the previous administration, our administration has maintained market economy principles and sound fiscal policy based on the vitality of the private sector, resulting in high employment rates and low unemployment rates.
최근 통계청에서 발표한
According to the
지난
latest
11월 기준
statistics released by Statistics Korea,
15세에서 64세의
the employment rate between 15 to 64 years old as of November was the highest ever since the statistics were compiled. The unemployment rate is also at an all-time low of 2.3%. Our government has been overcoming global complex crises, including high interest rates, through industrial policies, regulatory reform, and market development. To enhance the competitiveness of high-tech industries, we have strengthened enterprise support and expanded advanced science and technology cooperation with developed countries. We have created a favorable environment for business with a killer regulatory revolution in line with global standards, and we have explored global markets together with the private and public sectors to expand the playing field for our companies to really compete freely. Next year, improved exports are expected to drive economic recovery and growth. The government will intensively support the service industry so that the export-centered recovery can lead to recovery in domestic demand, which is directly linked to people's livelihoods. In particular, we will expand policy support focusing on content industry preferred by our future generations, high value-added industries such as finance and biohealth, and tourism and food industries to revitalize the local economy. The government has been striving to create a fair society by expanding people's freedoms and improving their welfare. We have fought to protect the interests of the economically disadvantaged and the ordinary people by breaking up monopolistic cartels and unfair rent structures. We have prevented the taxpayers' money from being wasted by exposing subsidies and illegal activities that have no legitimate basis. We have improved employment hereditary practices and unfair hiring practices that take away opportunities for our young people. By actively responding to the harmful effects of monopoly, we have ensured that small and medium-sized businesses and consumers can enjoy their fair rights. In particular, residents' free choice must be guaranteed in the exercise of collective property rights, such as redevelopment and reconstruction. Using obsolescence as a standard, we will ensure that redevelopment and reconstruction are carried out according to market principles governed by freedom of choice. We will continue to make tangible achievements and changes so the people can share and experience the belief that expanding economic freedom and creating a fair market improves the people's welfare and creates quality jobs. In order to expand economic freedom and improve the welfare of our citizens, Korea, which has the highest level of economic dependence on foreign countries in the world, must form strong alliances with countries that respect the rules-based international order and devote itself to diplomacy as a global pivotal country. The ROK-US alliance, which celebrated its 70th anniversary this year, has been upgraded to a nuclear-based alliance and further strengthened with industrial, advanced science and technology, cultural, and information alliances. The strained Korea-Japan relationship was boldly resolved, and the three countries, the U.S., Korea, and Japan, established a strong cooperative system and common leadership in the Asia-Pacific region and global community through Camp David Summit. This is the foundation for our market expansion and high-tech cooperation. The recent formation of a semiconductor alliance with the Netherlands can be said that it is the biggest achievement of this year in the field of high-tech cooperation. The reason I place the economy at the center of diplomacy and travel overseas tirelessly with many business people is because I believe that such visits create jobs and livelihood for the people. Above all, I would like to thank the entrepreneurs who have worked together to open up the global market. In addition, I believe it is a great achievement that the cooperation system between large companies, SMEs, and startups has been established while traveling together to explore overseas markets. During the first cabinet meeting of this year, I emphasized 3 major reforms for a new leap forward for the Republic of Korea. These are tasks that must be pursued unwaveringly to increase our country's growth potential. Education reform is about fostering talented people that will lead our future and enhancing the competitiveness of our future generations. Therefore, diversity and autonomy are paramount. Through special educational development zones, we have been able to accommodate diverse needs by region, and we are strengthening personalized learning support through digital education innovation. We're also breaking down barriers between departments in universities to increase students' choice. We will continue to move in the direction of supporting the autonomous growth of universities in connection with regions. We have created a level playing field by removing killer questions from the college entrance exam, and we're also normalizing the school education scene by establishing teachers' authority. Next year, through the integration of kindergartens and Nulbom School, we will provide the public with confidence that the government will take full responsibility for child care and education. As for labor reform, establishing the rule of law between labor and management is of utmost importance. Labor movements within the legal boundaries are clearly guaranteed, but illegal activities have been strictly dealt regardless of labor or management. Illegal and unreasonable practices such as employment inheritance, blind accounting, illegal strikes, and wage arrears have been addressed. The number of working days lost due to strikes has decreased significantly by about 1/3 on average compared to any previous administrations, making our economy more dynamic. A flexible labor market is the starting point for all reforms. We will ensure that the labor market is flexible enough to move in response to demand based on the rule of law. We will ease the rigidity of the legal system in labor market and ensure that the characteristics of each field are reflected correctly. This will encourage businesses to invest and ultimately jobs to grow, so that workers can benefit more job opportunities and higher wages and conditions. Pension reform has been left untouched by any government. It is a task that requires a lot of effort, but there has not even been proper discussion about it. I promised the people that I would lay the foundation for pension reform through the last presidential campaign and national tasks. We have been preparing diligently to keep that promise. We collected and organized a large amount of data through scientific mathematical analysis, public opinion surveys, and in-depth interviews, and prepared for a decision to be made through national consensus and National Assembly selection. We're also pursuing medical reform to save the region and essential medical care, including expanding the number of doctors, rationalizing the medical accident handling system, and establishing a fair compensation system. The general direction forward has been set. As this is an urgent and important task to protect the lives and safety of the people, we will quickly prepare measures through intensive discussions. When it comes to the low birth rate issue, we need to take this situation more seriously and think about the causes and measures at a different level than ever before. Desirable education policies, care policies, welfare, housing, and employment policies are necessary for our society to achieve sustainable development. However, more than 2 decades of experience has shown that collecting all good and necessary policies are not the sole solution to low birth rates. And we're all aware of this.
국민 모두가 충분히 알고 있습니다.
If, as many experts point out, all excessively competitive systems, including education, are the direct cause of low birth rates, we must focus on correcting such issues. And in order for incentives for childbirth to become a reliable measure against low birth rates, it is necessary to not only provide universal support, but also identify and provide support through empirical analysis. We don't have much time, and I hope that all ministries will work together to address the low birth rate issue with extraordinary determination. We are coming to the end of this year, and public officials who ran together forward to support the government have also worked very hard this year. Next year, let us work harder so that people can clearly feel the quality of life that has been improved. Most of all, we must boldly break down the barriers between ministries and strengthen cooperation between the ministries, focusing on our national tasks. Public officials are not solely about any of their ministries, but public officials are for the Republic of Korea, and they're working for the Republic of Korea. We're one team in front of all the people. We will significantly expand personnel exchanges between ministries and provide institutional support to break down the barriers between ministries to strengthen cooperation. On the 21st of this month, next year's budget plan passed the National Assembly with agreement between the ruling and opposition parties. The confirmed budget maintained the broad framework of the government's sound fiscal policy. We hope that each ministry will prepare thoroughly and execute the budget quickly to stabilize the lives of the people. Since last October, the number of visits to people's livelihood scenes by the presidential office and the ministries has exceeded 2,000. We have not only listened to the voices of the field, but quickly reflected them in the government policies. Starting next year, measures will be taken to allow a large number of foreign workers to be hired in service industries such as restaurants and hotels, where there is a shortage of workers at the moment. We have supplemented the non-face-to-face treatment pilot project so that first-time patients can also receive non-face-to-face treatment on weekends and at night times. The government and the financial sector work together to prepare a financial support plan worth more than 2 trillion won. I hope that we will speed up the implementation of financial support so that it is palpable by the people. The voices heard through visits to the scenes must be reflected in policies as quickly as possible. And in particular, retired seniors complaining that their health care insurance premiums have increased, even through their incomes has been decreased. We have to look at this issue as well. There are also loud voices in the field pointing out the excessive insurance premiums charged for property and automobiles. I hope that the Ministry of Health and Welfare will quickly come up with an improvement plan. The unreasonable system that people are complaining about must be changed immediately and unconditionally. On the 23rd, the new Cheonan was deployed at the West Sea Navy's Second Fleet. In March 2010, she was revived 13 years after being hit by a surprise attack by North Korea and began protecting our territorial waters. Its anti-submarine capability has been dramatically improved, and it is equipped with advanced weapons, making it much more powerful combat power than the previous Cheonan. The newly born soldiers of the Cheonan strengthened their will to fight by engraving the names of the 46 soldiers of the Cheonan on the ship. We expect that the stronger Cheonan will become a leader in creating peace through overwhelming power.
국민과
We will
함께
support the soldiers of the new Cheonan along with our people.
힘껏 응원하겠습니다. 새해에도 우리 정부는
In the new year,
현장
the
중심
government will get closer to the
민생
people
행정으로
through
국민들께
site-centered people's
더
livelihood
가까이
administration.
다가가야 합니다. 작은 목소리도 놓치지
We will
않고
do our utmost to solve the problem without losing sight of even the smallest voices.
검토만 하는 정부가 아니라
We will not become a
즉각
government that
시정하는
only
정부가
reviews,
되어야
but a
합니다.
government that immediately
한 해가
corrects.
저물고 있습니다.
So this year is
어려운
coming to an
이웃과
end. I hope this
따뜻함을
holiday
나누는
season will be
연말 연시가
one
되길
where we
바랍니다.
share warmth with our neighbors
구세군
in need.
자손 냄비와
In particular,
사랑의
we hope
온도
that the
탑에
hearts
모인
gathered at the
마음들이
Salvation Army charity and the level of love will drive away the bitter cold wave a little bit. We ask public officials to pay special attention to spreading warmth to every corner of our society. Thank you.